Hey guys, Bill Kirby here. I haven't been able to put up a video as regularly as I would have liked to, but it's been a crazy semester at school, so I'm just trying to get by on that right now. Christmas break is coming up, however, so I really wanted to get into the idea of doing another series of lessons. So one of the things I've been thinking about recently has been doing a recap series on the Mel Bay book that I use for teaching people guitar. So this is a really interesting book for me. I really like it. It's really changed my teaching concept, and it's been a lot of fun. This is the book. It's Mel Bay's Modern Guitar Method, Grade One. I found a ton of really useful things inside of the book, and it's, like I said, it's really reshaped my teaching style. So that's really good and nice. The book has all notes in it, so it's not a tablature book, but the big thing to remember when we're like going through a book like this is that it doesn't matter, I mean, whether you're reading tab or whether you're reading the notation, the music comes out of you, so that's like the biggest thing to remember. The music isn't going to come out of the guitar, the music isn't going to come off of the page, the music comes from you. So that's one of the biggest concepts that we're going to be talking about in this series. So that's really good. I've broken the book up into semesters, what I call semesters, and there are 4 of them in the Grade 1 book. The first semester, which is what we're going to be focusing on right now anyway, is what I like to call an introduction to playing chords. So for me, when I learned how to do chords on the guitar, I started playing the guitar when I was in high school, and the way that I learned and the way that many people learn how to play chords is, okay, here is a G chord, and you spend the first 2 or 3 weeks trying to get your hand into this position to like stretch these 2 fingers out, or even, you know, play it like this. And I found that to be, you know, I mean, it was like, and then you come into the next lesson, you're like, okay, well now change to C and go back and forth. And I mean, just, you know, I found that experience to be really frustrating. And so I wanted to develop a style of teaching people how to play chords in a much more musical way. So that's the big thing that I talk about in semester 1 of the Mel Bay Modern Guitar Method. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's what I've been doing for the past about 2 years, and it's really I've seen people go from being really frustrated trying to learn how to play chords to really like being able to do it in a smooth way where we can hear all of the voices in our chords, whether they be the open position chords, you know, I guess you could call them like country chords. That was the wrong chord. D minor here. Anyway, so whether they be like the country chords or whether they be like the jazzier chords, those kind of chords, or even like chords for classical music. So that's that. One of the first things that I always want my students to know, regardless of whether they're reading tab or whether they're reading the notation, is the note names of their strings. That is a super important reference for everything that we're going to do. So I wanted to devise a simple and kind of silly way to remember the chords. So you get the little the things that people use, the like FACE, which spells face, for like remembering the spot and the notation. But I wanted to develop kind of a silly way to remember the open strings on the guitar. So this is what I do. You have the low E. What's an animal that starts with E? Being that this is our biggest string, it's got to be a big animal that starts with E. Well, how about an elephant? Great. So E, pardon me, E is elephant. Great. So then you have the next string, and we're going from lowest to highest, right? The next string is your A string. And who's an animal that starts with A? How about an alligator? So A string, alligator. So we have elephant, now we have alligator. Great. So the next string is D, and who starts with a D and is extinct? I almost said instinct. Extinct. Well, how about a dinosaur? We like dinosaurs here, so that sounds good. Awesome. So now we have E for elephant, A for alligator, and D for dinosaur. The next string is G. So what's an animal name that starts with G? And I'm going to go with a giraffe. So who's got a really long neck? The giraffe. There it is. So we have E, elephant, A, alligator, D, dinosaur, G, giraffe. Awesome. So our next string is B. And this is where I like to get kind of funny in my lessons. And so what's my name? I'm Bill. So it's kind of one of those ways that like I just make sure that my students remember my name. Especially when you're teaching kids, sometimes it's kind of nice to help have that little reference. So there you go. B stands for Bill. B string. Great. So now we have E for elephant, A for alligator, D for dinosaur, G for giraffe, and B for Bill. And the last string is a doubled string, as in that this is an E and this is an E. But being that this is our biggest string, and this one isn't quite so big, who also starts with an E that isn't quite as big as an elephant? How about an eagle? Sounds good to me. We'll be patriotic about it. So now we have E for elephant, A for alligator, D for dinosaur, G for giraffe, B for Bill, and now E for eagle. So that's, a creative, interesting way to remember your strings. If that helps, great. I hope that it does. And if it's not so helpful, then I'll help you devise your own way for remembering it. But that's just the concept that I came up with, so that's what we'll go with. The last thing that I wanted to talk about in this little lesson is it has to do with the thumb of your left hand. I already did, this is usually where I would talk about holding a pick. I already did a lesson on how to hold a pick, so if you want to take a look at that lesson, I will link it in the description box, so you can check that out. So there's a full lesson on how to hold a pick. But the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the left hand. One of the things that like 90% of people come into lessons with this one habit that I find to be not as ergonomic as it could possibly be. I want to be as relaxed as possible when I'm playing the guitar, especially with the left hand, with both of your hands, of course, but especially with the left hand, because this is where, all of the action is going to be happening, right? You're going to be doing a lot of stuff with these fingers and with your hand and kind of with your arm and those muscles. So I want to be as efficient about it as possible. And this is one of those things that it just kind of, I learned this because when I started really taking the guitar seriously, I was studying classical music. I was studying classical guitar. So, and that was in 2010. So I haven't really been taking the guitar seriously for super long. But anyway, that's time isn't too important. So, so back on track, the thumb. This is something that I see 90% of students coming into the guitar, and I see a lot of like rock players doing this, and I see a lot of pardon me, and a lot of jazz players doing this too. A lot of guitar players do this, and it's something that I don't quite agree with at times. A lot of the time you'll see a guitar player and their thumb is up here, right? Their thumb, hello. And they have their thumb up here. One of the things, and this is just a personal thing, this is how I do it and how I see the usage of your fingers, right? This is where I like to show people how we hold a pencil or a pen, right? When we hold a pencil, we hold it between our thumb and our finger, just like this, almost like we're going to write. If I was going to take this, I'm going to take it like this. I'm not going to take the pen like this. That's going to be, that's only really using these fingers to hold on to it. I want to use this, and that's the thing that I've really analyzed in my own like personal life, right? That I want to incorporate into being as natural as possible on the guitar. So when I'm playing the guitar, I like to move my thumb to where I'm basically making a connection between these two fingers. You can check it out here. Notice how when I'm playing, my thumb is about even to where I'm doing this kind of a grip on the guitar. And I find it to be a much more natural way of playing the instrument. So that's just kind of one of the things that I like to point out in my first few lessons with people, about how to be as natural as possible with the guitar. And I find that especially like once we get into playing chords, that this concept becomes kind of well, not kind of, but really, really important to me and my own style and for what I want to do, because I want all of my voices and my chords to really sound like individual voices. And if my thumb is up here, it's a lot harder for me to make the proper curves on my fingers to really be able to hear all of those notes clearly. So that's what I'm going to talk about for today. If you like the video, give it the thumbs up, and like and subscribe if you're interested in checking out more lessons. In the next couple weeks, I'm going to be uploading a series on just recapping my semester 1 material and I'll do the whole book if I can, but I'm just taking it one lesson at a time right now. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to check it out. I hope you're having a good day.